Day 9, October 26th. For this afternoon's hunt, we're heading back to the same spot that we hunted on day 8, which was, I think that was about 3 days ago or so. The decision maker was pulling the trail camera above that field, and there was a daylight picture of Skinny on there from last night. So he was out there at 6:30 last night, and I've got a pretty good idea now with 4 or 5 cameras out looking at the cards and trying to predict where this deer's living. I got a pretty good idea where he's probably living now, and I think it's just that block of timber right next to the spot where we're going this evening, that side slope that faces this stand. I think he's living in there someplace, because all the pictures we're getting of him are fringes of that block of timber, and we haven't really gone in there, and we don't intend to go in there. We'll leave it completely alone, and we'll just hunt this deer on the fringe. There's plenty of spots back in there where he could be daylight active and be, totally secluded, not seen from anywhere. So I don't feel like we need to go in and kind of push the issue at all in the area where I think he's bedding. We'll catch him coming out, but tonight it's a little bit heavy. The air is humid. It's about 60 degrees, and we've got a west wind that's supposed to turn northwest about 9 miles an hour tonight. So it's a good wind for where we're going. I like the amount of wind, just enough to rustle the leaves and make it easier for us to sneak in there, but not so much that it's going to make the deer wary. We're going to take a little bit of a shortcut heading in this time. Usually we walk the full length of the creek, but that slows us down quite a bit and doesn't really gain us much on this end, because where we're going is way up in there. So we're going to shoot along the edge of this alfalfa field, drop into the creek, and then make the last approach from down in the creek.
Took us a while to get up into the tree once we got here. When we first got to the tree, there was one doe, probably about 100 yards away. By the time I got into the stand, there were 5. By the time Zach got into the stand, there were 10, including this 8-pointer that was out here chasing him around. Fortunately for us, he ran all the does off, so we were able to get up in here and get situated decent, but we did not spook a single deer. And boy, they're still filtering right back out into the plot again. I've got a good feeling that tonight might be a night to lay our eyes on Skinny. I'm going to keep watching in front of me, but in the meantime, I'm going to show you a segment that we filmed earlier today. One where we cut an entry route, exit route to one of our better tree stands.
It's October 26th, and I've got a project here. The tree stand that we cut the shooting lanes around about 10 days ago was one that I call Old Reliable, and that stand is one of my favorites. And there's some pretty decent bucks that are showing up on that ridge. There's a big and beastie plot that we put in there that we drilled in with the Genesis cedar back in I think it was late August, and that's really taken off well, and the deer are really pounding that. So the next step now is to cut the entry and exit route into that. This one has been one of my favorites over the years because it's such a creative route that we use to get to the stand. I'm on the county road. When I actually hunt this, I'll park further up the road. We walk down the road, drop down into the ditch. There's a ditch that almost dead ends at the road. We'll follow that ditch all the way down into the valley, and then we take a left in the valley and follow a creek, a little creek bed down there. Then we turn and go up the ridge on the other side, which is where Old Reliable is. It's up on top of that next ridge. So it's not a big deal going in for an evening hunt, just to go in across the top of the ridge and get in the tree stand. But when you try to leave at the end of the evening hunt, it's going to be really tough if you don't have sort of a bulletproof way to get out of there. So this route is super important for creating that exit route, or that way to get out of there at the end of legal shooting time. And we use it to go in too, but it's most valuable as the route that we use coming out. And if you don't go in there and saw out all the deadfalls and clean up all the brush and kick things out of the way and open it up, it's a lot noisier, takes a lot longer, it's a lot more stressful trying to make your way through there in the dark. So that's the project now, is go in there, open that up, take the chainsaw, make a bunch of noise, don't be nervous about it, just let the deer know you're coming, And we got the Heumann saw. We can clean up any brush that we can't reach easily with the chainsaw. And we'll have this baby cleaned up in about, hopefully, less than an hour. And then we're going to try to get into a tree stand this evening if this rain will let up. It's kind of a misty rain right now, and that's not a good thing if you got a camera going into a tree stand. But we'll keep the camera dry while we're cutting out this entry-exit route, and then I'll show you the whole process along the way. I don't need to talk about it anymore. You get the idea. Follow the ditch in, and then work your way up to the stand. Keeps you out of sight from the deer. Keeps you basically in a place where they're not going to smell your ground scent as you're walking in the bottoms of these ditches. And for the most part, it bottles up your scent because the wind blows over the top of these ditches and you don't get a lot of human scent in the air blowing in every direction. So that's the project. I was sawing my way down through the ditch and came upon this little bench off to the side. I'm sure you can see it there. It's a big bed, which makes the guy think that it's probably a buck bed. I'll jump up there and look at the size of the tracks that are in it, but it's kind of down in a hole here. I mean, totally thick all the way around. And I can't imagine anything could get in here that could possibly disturb this deer other than the way that we came right down this ditch, because it's 360 degrees around. It's just as thick as you can imagine. We'll keep this in mind. We probably messed it up as far as a spot to sit and hunt, but again, there's not a buck here that we're serious about, at this time anyway. But just knowing that the deer are bedding down in these little holes like this is kind of interesting. Pretty good little tunnel we made down through there. So now, at the end of legal shooting time, climb down the back side of the tree. Food plot's right back there. Scoot right out this tunnel, drop down into the big valley, down the big valley, catch that smaller ditch, right up to the county road, right back to the truck. So we got it done. Time to get back to the house and get our gear together and get in a tree.
There's a 1.5-year-old buck coming down across the food plot right now. Got about half an hour left. It's a real dark evening, so we're going to lose camera light early. It's probably 40 minutes or even maybe more of legal shooting time, but I think we're going to run out of camera light before the end. So it's been a couple smaller bucks and several does. And I've said it before when I've hunted this spot in the past, the deer basically work their way across from left to right. And they're going across this creek. And there's a standing cornfield and a big field of big and beastie on the other side of the creek. That's the direction they're going. It just takes them a long time to get there. I mean, they'll kind of dribble their way down there. But that's even what we've seen Skinny do too once in a while, is pop out up in this area and then work his way down, and then we'll pick him up sometimes on a camera down there also. Half an hour more. I'm not gonna break back in again here unless we can get that deer killed, but otherwise you can just plan on catching me on another one of these video blogs sometime here in the next couple of days.